All right. So afternoon, everybody. And so this is really the unpacking session for Masterpiece, and it's really to give the coaches, especially new coaches, some background information, but actually also for existing coaches. We are a team. We've got quite a few in the group that already have experience in coaching, in judging, in refereeing, and so this is kind of all part of lessons learned. This is part of kind of just how to prepare a team for a competition best. For us, on the judging side of it, and I'm sometimes in the judging rooms, it is just so heartbreaking when a team arrives at a competition and they are clearly unprepared. It is very obvious that the coaches have never used the team meeting guide. It is very obvious that they have no idea what the theme is or what the research requirements are. And for us, it's just heartbreaking. I kind of said there on the WhatsApp, it's like not okay. Because some learners put so much effort into it and then to realize, but they haven't been prepared well enough. And so there's this missing information. And so what we want through these groups discussions is how do we best prepare the coaches to coach the learners? But obviously that information then must follow down. And just, I was actually just unpacking the robot because I have a team. Who, after many years of coaching, can actually participate in the robotics theme themselves. So they were very excited about Masterpiece. And amongst themselves, they arranged a session to build and program a robot. They didn't need any of us coaches. So Colleen and Debbie and myself were their coaches. They didn't need us in the room. And B, they were preparing a robot and they were even too old to compete. So they are the referees. They have played with the robot. They've played with the challenge. But what I found when I was, this is just the excitement of robotics. We want our teams to compete internationally. And so, and and Erin must help me. Erin, this was from, I think, when we were in Hungary. But just look at this. These are all the teams. And I don't know, can you see it? There you go. So our team members each had a flag as their, like, this Batman outfit. And then they compete and they discuss with all the teams all over the world and they get buttons. And really, that excitement of knowing that you are participating with like-minded learners all over the world, that is just phenomenal. But to qualify for that, you as coaches are going to have to put in a whole lot of extra effort. And so we would like to walk beside you and say, bring it on. We'll walk beside you. We'll make this happen. All right. So today we're unpacking the missions. And so everybody has, hopefully by now, read the game rule book. And everybody has already printed the challenge team meeting guide and the engineering notebook. Probably completed about session 4, session 5, I'm thinking. And so that's good, because we're already at the end of August. We should be about session 6, session 7 already. All right, as we move forward to the competition. And I just want to kind of acknowledge, thank you, Casper and Elmarie, for your lobby visits and making sure that everybody gets in. I didn't even, did I actually, is Casper not in the meeting? I thought he was in the meeting. Okay, so it's just Elmarie and Mariska, but thank you anyway. All right, so how we worked last week, and Casper very graciously shared his kind of like secret formula. How do you then move from kind of reading in the rule book what the rules are to getting the robot to perform a whole lot of missions after each other, which we call the game strategy? What is your robot game strategy? And your robot game strategy is how do you combine all the missions, and you can have maybe 2 or 3 missions in a run, and how do you combine the runs into a whole strategy to score the optimal points? So I've got a couple of and maybe just let me just show you also. Robot game strategy is how do you combine all the missions, and you can have maybe 2 or 3 missions in a run, and how do you combine the runs into a whole strategy to score the optimal points. So I've got a couple of, and maybe just let me just show you also. So this is the Hey That's Us little robot that they built to do the masterpiece challenge, and then they've got a whole lot of very specific attachments, and I would lie if I say I knew exactly what all of them did, but they look quite cool. So and here's another one. I think this is for pushing something. I'll find out from them. I'll get the info. And then there's a little one, and there's another one. All right. And so and this is one of the jumping off points before I start the conversation. Your attachments. So if you go back to M1 and M2, there are passive attachments and powered attachments. Okay. Those are the basic attachments. What you need your learners to do is then to build on that, to modify on that, and that is what then gets attached to your robot chassis. However you build however your learners build your robot's chassis. Okay, and then this team has already got. There's a concept of dog gears, so they're embedded in here, and so these attachments pin onto here with connectors, and so they pin on and pin off. You will see also when you watch some videos, the robot does a run, it comes back, they take off attachment and they put on another attachment. All that is synchronized, and that is part of where your teams get to learn the order of your missions that you're going to do. And if you actually, it should be almost a standard. Let there at least be one member of your team with a clipboard with all the missions kind of written down, and even if they shout and scream, that your team doesn't forget what mission comes next. They don't stress at the table what mission comes next. You have a crier, a team crier who calls out, or a team caller who calls out the missions as you go along. That's fine. All right. So let me just share. I have a couple of things I wanted to share with you, and I'm not. At no time is this an absolute list, but this is. Let me just go on here. All right, I'm just seeing here. There's some. All right, so we did the project unpacking and planning that, and we're going to come back to that. You'll see in 2 weeks' time. Then last week we did the robot design and build and the attachments. We started on the attachments, and that was where Casper very graciously shared his cheat sheet with you, and so how to understand what is required of each mission. All right, and then what attachments might be required. What we're going to do today is we're going to focus more on kind of the robot programming, but the robot programming is kind of linked on this from missions to strategy session. So when you program a mission, you either program the mission just separately, and I would my first point would always be you program a mission from base out to the mission and to come back. All right. And if you get that right, then and only then do you start combining things. And the combining things should be done by session 6, session 7, session 8. You should be starting to combine things. All right. And it's again from missions to strategy. So your robot programming, you first program the mission, you have the attachment, it works perfectly. You keep that. All right. You have to have a series of backups. So you can call that mission 1 only, or mission 2 only, mission 3 only, and keep that safe. Then on your laptops, then if you want to start having strategic conversations, you'll say, can we combine, say, mission 1 and 2? And then it's called mission 1 and mission 2 together. All right. Just a couple of things that I've highlighted here. 4 most important, okay? All missions, you do not require to complete all missions. Neither are you required to do the missions in any order, okay? My teams used to say, there are all the missions. We stood around the table, and this group said they want to do this mission. So that was mission 6, and this group here wanted to do mission 5. Then we decided that's the first missions we're going to do. When they are completed, Then we choose another number. Then we do those missions. Usually the missions that appeal to the learners are the ones that get done quickest. But there are always easier ones and more difficult ones. Get them, the easier ones, in the bag first. And then you can move on to the more difficult ones. The difficult ones have got high risk. And so it's really fun to get that right. But you can't be spending all your time on the difficult ones if you can't actually get the easy ones done. Because then you're going to get to the night before the competition and none of the difficult ones work and you haven't spent any time on the easy ones. You need to make sure that your team has a minimum points within the 150 seconds that they can complete time after time after time, and that's points guaranteed. All right, that's the first thing. The next thing, and which we really elaborated on last week, all right, you need the team, every single member of the team, not necessarily the coach. It does help, but the members of the team need to understand the missions. They need to understand what the mission is about. All right. And that cheat sheet that Casper shared last week really helps and goes a long way to kind of keep everything on the same page. All right. There are missions that you must push something. There are pull things. You must get points. Sometimes if there's for the missions, and if you look in the game rule book and you look, there are different, let me just have a look here. So for example, let me see where it's, so the theater scene, all right, there's a 10-point option, there's a 20 plus 30-point option, there's a 30 plus 10-point option down the bottom here. Okay. If you understand what you're going to do and how many points you're going to get, I cannot emphasize this more. And it's called theater scene change. Okay, that's what the mission is called. They need to name the missions according to the name that's given in the book. Okay, when they get to being refereed and they have an objection, your team members need to talk to their referee, and if necessary, and if need a third party, they call the head referee. That's why we have head referees. At no time can you as the coach interfere. All right. But if your team comes and says, there's a thingy there and we think it's this, but it's definitely 29 points. Well, there's nothing worth 29 points. All right. And that is a clear indication that your team has not read the rule book and that they don't know what the rules are. The team members need to understand the missions and what points they can score on each part. All right. So we go. Or list all the missions, identify the verbs. If you've got that whole list, if you complete that whole list from Casper, and then highlight the ones that you're going to attempt. Okay. That brings it your team members a far way to understand the requirements. And once they've understood here, if you have the verbs, then you understand what the requirements are. Why is this coming? And then you can understand the programming that's required. Okay? And the programming must obviously make use of the attachments that are built. Okay? It's kind of a... So each mission, you've got the missions. Now we're going to put it all together as a game strategy. So that means, how do we combine the missions effectively into a robot run? Okay. So, about game strategy. You can see the development of a game strategy if you use that scoring sheet, print out, I don't know, 20 of them. So you can show how the game strategy developed. Okay. First, how you did each mission individually. How long did it take? How many points did you score? Then you combine these two and those two. You run the robot, total time taken, total score points. Then you've got less time, but you've maybe got more chance to do another robot mission. Okay. You should have a list. Okay. And this is what I was saying there. If you have what's this going on here? Okay. If you have a list, and you color it like, okay, they want the color. Okay. So if you take the list of robot runs, and you have somebody standing on the sideline with a clipboard and say, who must start the robot? What attachments are required? Where must the robot start? It's fine. All right. It just helps with the confidence and to still the nerves, because I tell you now, to stand up and do a robot run takes courage. Okay, and don't underestimate that. And you as a coach must ensure that your team is best prepared as possible for their robot runs and their work. Okay, next one. Team groups that are focused. You can't have the whole team working on one robot mission. That doesn't work. So normally you divide it into 2 or 3 groups. All right. So you have one chassis, and then you have each group maybe making an attachment and doing the programming for that one mission. It's divide and conquer principle. All right. The program must be correct. For every mission, the robot mission should be correctly programmed. Okay. And then again, scoring after every session. Every time you finish, before the kids go home, oh, word, let's make it a color. You must know what the score is. So you leave today, we know our robot can score 110 points in 150 seconds. How can we improve? So we strategize and we say, well, if we put these 2 missions together, then maybe we can have the same score, but we've got another 30 seconds to do another mission quickly. And it's those little missions that maybe just are the winning score. All right. I'm just going to pause for a minute. Is there anybody that wants to say anything, add anything? Anybody? Yes, Mariska. Yeah.
I would just like to add, you said that they must practice the robot runs.
Yes.
Whenever they start putting the robot runs to the missions together, the order of the missions, then they must start practicing it like that every time, because that actually smooths the whole process of changeover of attachments and just give the kids confidence as to what's next, so that they don't stress so much.
Absolutely.
Because, yeah, and the more they practice it like that, the more they will probably gain time in that they use in the run. Because sometimes in the beginning it takes longer to kind of change a attachment. So if they can practice it many times, then that process will go faster and faster, and then you will actually have a few more seconds that you can do, say, another mission or whatever. But it's really necessary that the teams practice the whole process, the order of the missions that they do. As soon as they get a mission that is right, let them start practicing the order they want to do it at the competition, because then they will score more, or they will create more time for themselves to do more missions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you run from the top. You run all the missions from the top down every time. Totally agree with you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is all just life lessons learned, hey? All right, Elmarie, from a judging perspective, yes.
Please keep those score sheets, because that will trigger the kids to tell us how their strategy developed. We had a simple robot with no attachments. We actually designed an attachment and it worked. And then we designed the next one and suddenly nothing worked. And that is how your strategy develops.
Yeah,
just keep that as a reference for the kids, because they don't understand the word strategy, and that actually forms your strategy, is how you've grown.
Absolutely. Can't agree with you more. And also on Elmarie, on that note, get somebody or get 2 learners in the team to be the documentation champions. All right. And if you take your engineering note, find it, just put 2 gaatjies in and put it into a file. Even if the file's like this, you're never going to hand in that file. You're never going to hand it in. All right. The team must keep that file with them. But if they're coming to a judging session or somebody visits their pit area and they ask the question, so tell me about it. They don't have to well, we sort of kind of, no. You want the evidence? Here's the evidence. It's in our file. You see, this is how we did it. You want confident teams that have evidence of their learning. Absolutely, Elmarie. I totally agree with that one.
You can even add a photo of what your robot looked like at that point in time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a series of photographs go a long way. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that, Elmarie. Casper, yes.
Yes, Doctor. So I also wanted to say the same things of bring those documents to us as the technical judges.
Yeah.
We cannot say, okay, we just want to see or understand how you progress. So it also helps us to see you started with no robot or you started with a small robot and now you have this robot that's in front of me. And especially with what type of missions would we do and how did we improve on our missions from 0 seconds, from 10 seconds to 5 seconds, the robot, how the attachments were improved, and even small things like that, just bringing that. And that's usually where some of the teams, around about 70% or 50% of teams, do not bring that documentation and they lose around about, I think, 2 or 3 marks just on that.
Yeah. Thanks, Casper.
That's
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Awesome. So Casper has technical judging and refereeing. I think you've been on both sides of the table, but awesome. Yes. Afakile, yes.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. I made it on time.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I actually feel bad even ever speaking here because I know I owe so much to Mariska. And Mariska, please, please do forgive me. Please do forgive. You just don't know how much I stress with my kids and their inconsistencies and yeah. So please, Mariska, please do forgive me. I apologize ahead of time. Now,
It's fine.
with I just want to clarify something. I've seen some videos online, and concerning the wind turbine mission. Do they have to collect the energy sources, or can they? Do they have to build an attachment that is going to collect the energy sources, or so long as they release the energy sources, that's fine?
Okay, so you're talking about the superpower challenge?
Superpowered challenge, yes. I'm still on superpowered, sorry.
No, that's fine. Okay, so Afakile, that's exactly what I was saying. When you look in the rule book, there are a number of different point values. For every mission, there's a different point values, and your teams will then decide how many points are they okay with, all right? So the wind turbine is one of those. By releasing it, you get some points, okay? But if you can collect it at the same time, and, you know, probably a mission, a little attachment like this, you know, where the things fall in here, you just put it back to base. Then look, you can see if you take those little energy things and put them somewhere else, you get more points.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is where your team comes in a conversation. You say to your team, all right, great, we can release them. Are we okay to leave them there? Or should we try build a little hockey like this, get them there, bring them to base, and then maybe we can find some more points.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is part of, even if you, I get very excited about the score sheet. The score sheet is your like crib notes. Then you can write at the end of the day and say, we managed to get the energies out of the wind turbine. Next week, we need to find a way to get them to base.
Yeah. Okay. Now they've been getting them to base with ease.
Awesome.
But now to just confirm on the home front, right? If when they, because what happens is that their robot is a bit big because of that attachment. If when they are reversing back to base, they touch the walls, do they get penalized? Must they be inside those black lines or what when they're reversing back to base?
Okay, so when you finish the mission, after the mission, you can go either on the sides or in that base, in that.
Yes, in that. Yeah.
They can actually just reverse it into the off the mat, but they must be totally off the mat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it must be totally off the mat on the base. So anywhere on the base.
Either on the side corridor,
yes,
or on that quarter thingamajiggy.
Yeah. Okay. So
base.
Yeah.
I've done. All right.
Listeners talking about a thingamajiggy.
Yeah, I'm just listening.
I know what thingamajiggy is.
I also listened to that one, Patricia. The launch area. It's the launch area and the part that is off the mat together with the launch area is called home.
That's the word. I knew there was another word. I was just looking in my little book. But thank you. Yes. All right. Yes. And that's kind of where the strategy comes all along. Is where your team can decide, are they going to go push the boundary and get some more points? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, no, they've been collecting they've been collecting them.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Excellent. Mariska, you had your hand up?
Now, I was just on the previous point of taking notes and whatever on when you change a robot. For our teams, we usually tell them, when you change anything on your robot, take a photo and then like print it out and put it in your file, but with a description that says, we use this attachments for this, and then we decide it doesn't work so well, so we take it off and we build another one.
Yeah.
So the photos is the evidence of all the changes to the robot.
Yeah, and also I know the girls used to do that. They had just a jotter book. Just if you change values often in the programs, write it down, because you will find that the teams are going in circles. Okay, Fakila, I see. I just want to quickly finish this one here. So here is tip number 1, 2, or 3. The tip number 1 is when on the day that you're going to work with your robots, you need to have somebody who's going to put the robot on charge to make sure that your robot is fully charged. Okay. For most robots that we used, we never went past 45 minutes working with the robot before we recharged it. Okay. I'm not sure about the Spike Prime battery life, but I know for EV3s, when we used to run and run and run and run and run, you get to a point where you're going to, and especially at the end of a class, which is not a good time to start changing. Please don't start changing programs. You get to a time when the battery power is down, okay, and now the teams are changing their programs like crazy, and now it works, all right? Then they go home, they charge it, and then suddenly when they start class, now it's still not working. It's not working because the battery is charged. So that's number 1. Make sure the battery is charged and stays charged, and keep it charged. Okay, half an hour, then you charge, and then you do project, and then you come back or you strategize. The other one is check these wheels. Okay, dust. We haven't had our rain yet. Well, Gauteng hasn't had its rain yet. The dust is horrendous, and it messes with these robots, and you have no idea the impact of dust on the traction of these robots on these mats. Okay, so if you've got a mat, if you've got this like this, take a wet cloth and just hold, not a damp, not wet, damp. Just hold it here like this and let it do 10 rotations. This one, 10 rotations, just to get this off and let it dry. All right. Yeah, these tires are much better than the wide tires from the EV3s. For the EV3s, I still prefer those white NXT motors, less surface, so less confusion on the wheels, but that is just my favorite little hobby horsey thing. So, okay, so keep your robots programmed. Number 2, keep the wheels clean. And number 3, there needs to be somebody in the team. No, make it 2 people. There needs to be 2 people in the team that keep your programs backed up. All right. I know most teams don't have the luxury of 2 laptops. That is fine, but at least have what are these other things called? Like these flash drives, all right? And then you put the programs every day, you put a date to it, and you copy the programs to this thing, so you have a backup of all the programs. Your teams work very hard to get these programs right. If they lose it, just because the laptop goes missing or the laptop dies or whatever the reason is, then at least you have the backups in 2 or 3 days. We have had teams come into competitions where the laptops have crashed. If they had had their robot programs just on a flash, we could have found another laptop for them. All right. I think that's, for me, that's what I just wanted to. Afakile, you're unmuted. You want to add something quickly?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. If you go to the team meeting guide on page 29, on the launch.
Superpowered.
Yeah, superpowered, yes, team meeting.
Okay, I don't have that with me here, but tell me, yeah.
Okay, so if you look at page 29, is the mat, and there's two sections on the launch area. There is on the left the red line, and then just behind it there is a black line, right? And on the right it's a blue and a black line. What I just want to find out is whether where the actual launch area begins, on the red or on the black, and when it returns, must it be behind the black line, or it's fine so long as it's behind the red line?
I'm going to ask Mariska. Mariska, can you answer that?
Can you? So I've got my video on.
Okay, yeah.
So if you look at this line, there's this red line.
Yeah.
And then the black one. Now, does the robot have to be totally inside the red line?
Inside the red, not the
behind
black.
The black line?
Inside the red line.
The red line, okay.
Yeah.
The black is there to help you position your robot.
Yes. Yeah, okay, because we've been using the black line all along as a marker of where we begin, but I just wanted to make sure when it returns, because we've also now started, like with the thing of the batteries, sometimes you see towards an hour mark, the robot starts misbehaving.
Where are you walking up? Jonathan, I can see your camera. Hi, Jonathan. Oh my words, the team's getting younger and younger these days. Awesome, excellent. Yeah, just on that, thank you, Jonathan, for sharing. But just on that, this is a journey. We are impacting on children's lives, and you may not, and I'm just saying it now, I just need to say this, you might not get recognition now. Learners might not really understand what impact you are having on their lives, all right? But these learners are going to grow up, and they're going to reflect on the amazing input that you have had in their lives. My oldest robotics team are now 26, 27 years old. They're all successful. They are all members of society, and they do reflect. Some of them volunteer. We are seriously looking for alumni, but please keep doing what you're doing. And Jonathan, get your child to do Discover soon. We need to get them in the process. Okay. All right. Maybe just for closing, before I just want to share one last thing. And I maybe will share this document. So I just wanted to kind of put this kind of, puts it in perspective. And I've taken the robot build and program. So in your team meeting guides, there's a pre-check, and then there's session 1, 2, and 3, and then there's a check, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's a check, and then so you should have here in your, I don't know whether you draw it on the wall or whatever, but I like drawing all over the place. So you should have kind of something to aim for. So maybe at check 1, you aim to have 3 missions for 120 points in 100 seconds. Okay, and then by check number 2, what are you aiming for? Whether you exceed these expectations or not. But there must be some kind of 5 missions, 160 points in 130 seconds. All right. And then, of course, your final check is what you have, a strategy. I've left that blank, whatever you have. But what are you aiming for? And so to be competition ready for the team, this is kind of what the focus is. Each team must have their own robot. And please give the robot a name. It adds to team identity, and we'll be unpacking team identity next week. If a team's name is amazing, and the robot's name is Amma, that's fine. Give it a, I don't know, even if you call it, this is John and the team's name is Jack, and we're Jack and John, or whatever it is, but let them give some thought to it. Okay. All right, so each team has its own robot, and just give the robot, please, a name. It's not just robot. Each team must have its own programs, okay? And they must know the order of the programs and in the robot's strategy. Okay, and really get yourself there a champion here who's going to call out the things. And here the programs, you need a save champion here. I think we need a save champion there as well. All right, then on the day of the competition, all the programs must be on the robot. You cannot come with your laptop on your arm and know you're going to now still program a mission 2. No, time's up. All right, you only stress your learners out. And this is kind of where you as the coach must keep it real. All right, you are not, I'm just maybe this will make this a bit bigger. You do not have the time on the day of the competition to actually program a robot. Okay, you can tweak something, but there are practice tables and you only get a 10-minute time slot. We're going to have pit area managers and we're going to have practice table managers. You will book a slot for 10 minutes. Your team goes in, you change what you have to change, and then you get off. All right. No team is allowed to stay at the practice table for longer than 10 minutes. That is what it is. Okay. You do not have time to program the robot on the day. Please call it quits at the end of the day before the competition. That's it. No more. That's what you take with. All right. So no team will program, should program. Let's say should. You can fix at the table. That's fine. That's fine. But otherwise, no programming. All right. There just isn't enough, especially for the bigger competitions. I know at UNISA we have 48 teams. There is not time for every team to use the practice table. There's just not time. All right, you can fix things, but you can't program. Then no team must bring their laptop to the table, to the stage, apart from the fact that laptops carried around are very unsafe. Your laptops should be in a rucksack and on the back of one of the team members. Okay. And team members have laptop and backpack. Please. Right. So now comes the most important thing of today. You as the coach. No coach may touch or carry or poke or whatever the robot or the laptop. Okay. And I need to say this with all sincerity. Time and time again, we see coaches programming for their teams, just looking. No, you don't. You're not allowed to touch the laptop and you are not allowed to touch the robot. Okay. When teams come into a judging hall, and Elmarie can back me up on this one, and the judges ask them, so tell me about your program, and they answer, the coach did it for us. You are doing your team an injustice and a disservice. Please, 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 coaches, do not touch, do not carry, do not even press a button. Do not even start the laptop. Don't touch. All right, coaches, don't touch or carry the robot. We have undercover judges roaming around at all competitions. Okay? Just don't. All right. And just one for optional. It really is helpful for the team to have a printout of at least one program. Sometimes laptops just don't start, all right? Or teams get flustered and they can't find the program they want to show you. So do your team a favor. Let them print out, suggest to them, just a print out, you just take a screen grab. So you take that, you do a print screen, and you just plonk it on a piece of paper, and they can just bring that with. They can put it in their file, but that they at least have one program that they can explain. All right. That's the optional part. All right. That is my 2 cents. I'm going to stop sharing. Anybody got any suggestions, any comments? We need to move from the, where's the team meeting guide, from the engineering notebook, from the rule book to a game strategy. We need a robot that can perform multiple missions Okay, multiple missions that can get scored, and you need to show the growth. How did your team develop? No team ever builds one robot and voila, there it's done, and programs it once off, doesn't test anything, and all the programs work. And if you ever find a team whose programs have worked first time and whose robot has not changed structure, please let us know. We would love to meet this team, because I think Mariska can back me up on this one. She still has teams on the field. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
It does not happen. No, never happens. And that's what the 21st century skills of collaborative learning, of problem solving is about the freedom to discover and to learn and to explore ideas and to learn. And there's not only one solution. And that guaranteed, if you go and look at all the teams that have participated over the years, you will never see exactly the same robot from any team. All right. Any questions? Anybody got anything to add? Anybody? We would love to share more ideas, and maybe next week somebody can add. All those who've already had robotics teams. Yes, Mariska.
I would just want to add, especially where schools have more than one team, they must really try to get the teams so that every team have another robot design, or at least something different about the robot. Because getting to a competition that all your team's robots are the same, it's kind of no. You need to give your learners the chance to kind of customize or individualize their robot, so that it is their robot and not just the average one that they built in the beginning of the season. They must be able to show, we have changed this and this and improved this and this on the robot, and this is what makes our robot special.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just making some notes here as well. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? So whether you are unpacking for smart moves, listen to me, Masterpiece, or whether you are unpacking for superpowered, we really want to equip you best we can from lessons learned, and like walk the journey with you to make sure that your teams are better prepared. All right. If you have participated in a celebration event already, and you have EV3s, no more Riley Rovers. Find another design, modify another design, maybe get a Core 3 and modify that design. The winning design is for me just still the best, because that can be modified, it can be upgraded. So there we have it. If you want attachments, EV3 has got a cargo loader and it's got a gripper. Modify those. If you've got an EV3 as well, the dog gears on attachments is really important, because my team switched over to that quite a while ago, and so you see this structure fits into that structure over here. All right, and so everything just works. Let me just see whether this one works. There we go. So it kind of fits in, and it joins, those connector pieces join onto these things, and so the motors are already embedded, and so they will work. But if you want more of that information, just shout. Just the last thing, and was one of the things that that came up from last year's celebration event. Let me just, if you have your mission model, I'm just going to go fetch quickly one of them quickly. Let me just have a look which one. Now, of course, I'm looking for it. I can't find it. That's okay. Okay, it's the concept of dual lock. You're back again. All right. So underneath each model, you'll see where it needs to be placed. If you look on the mat, there's a square with a little cross on it. All right. To that, you take two pieces of dual lock. This is dual lock, okay? I can just take it off here. Okay, and then the two pieces of Velcro, you push them together, okay, so that it's sticky on both sides. And then you stick this down on that little thing marked with an X on your mat. You stick it down. And when you've got them all stuck down, then you take your element and you push it down then on the mat, all right, so that you're able to hold the mat and pull this off so that the sticky part sticks on the mission model and there's a sticky part down on the mat. But you can put it down and you can lift it off. You're not going to leave the mat set up. So you need to be able to take these off, put them in the box, roll up the mat so there's no dust collected, all right? That's the one thing. The other one I really need to tell you is you can't decide which missions to put on the mat and which not. You have to set up the mat totally. So all the mission models must be on the mat, whether you're doing the mission or not. All right. It gets in the way. I know that's part of the strategy. All right. You're going to knock things over. I know that's the strategy. You're going to find things like, can't you move them a little bit? No, it's part of the strategy. You have to plan around it. There are some very weird lines. Line follow is very important. Okay. But make sure you're on the white before you start following on the edge on this one here. Okay. You'll notice that it's not a black line with white on both sides. They've changed. So your teams need to know how to follow lines. All right. There we go. Anybody else? We are going towards a strategy. All right. Mariska, your hand is up.
Just the last thing, especially for the new coaches. Remember when your learners put down the robot in the launch area?
Yes.
They cannot make marks on the mat for the position of the robots. So they must find another way, say counting the blocks or looking at the other written words in the launch area or whatever, how they can put down, get the team to remember where to put down the robot, but they cannot make marks. Because if you practice like that and you make marks and the children put it down there, when you get to a competition, you cannot make marks there. Yeah. And then your learners will probably be lost as to where they have to put the robot. So please don't do that in practice to mark the specific positions where you put down your robot for each mission.
Yeah. So maybe just for new teams, it's always good to start maybe against the back wall. Okay. So in missions, you have a flat surface at the back and you put them against the back there. So they are reversed against the back there. That is one of the best kind of least error prone ways that you can start. Okay. But that is my option. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? It's late. It's Friday. It's weekend. There's some rugby. Something, I don't know if there's something happening this weekend. I'm not quite sure. Oh, maybe it's today still. I think there's something rugby happening today. Enjoy the opening. Enjoy the rugby. Afakile, you want to add, or do you want to just help me write?
No, I just want to say maybe one day we must have a meeting with all the struggling coaches.
Yes.
Then we can share our struggling journeys.
Okay, can we have that after next week's session? We'll have a special sickling moment.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Okay. What I do want to ask though is for any of you, and I think Mariska said once or twice now, we need more volunteers. She will put on the group. We're doing volunteer training on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock for the next 3 Wednesdays. And maybe if you as coaches can come to that session as well, kind of to better understand the judging from the other side that your learners will experience.
What time is it?
At 7 o'clock on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday. Okay. No,
for 3 Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Mariska,
no, 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
She'll send you the link now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because look, my greatest challenge is the commitment, and of course, with kids that are committed, that have to attend extra classes, but they're also in robotics. And, you know, that to me is my greatest challenge.
Give them a cup of tea, Afakile.
Sorry?
Give them a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Yeah, the two
a long
very
way.
committed learners are the coders. The two coders,
It goes a long way.
Are strong
Half
in the
an hour.
coding. Yeah.
Half an hour, then time's up, then we all have a cup of tea, and then we come back.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome. We will see each other next Wednesday. For those who can make it, those recordings will also be available. But otherwise, we will then meet again next Friday, and we will have a special moment for Afakile. You can share your struggles, and we will guide you and help you. All right.
Jonathan had a question.
Yes, Almarie?
Jonathan had a question.
Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. Is it on the chat?
No, he raised his hand, but he lowered it in the interim.
Oh, Jonathan. Jonathan.
Hello, Dr. Rose.
Yes, I'm listening.
Yes, I realized I'm just LRPS there. I raised the hand, but I realized that maybe the question I was going to ask, it could have been before I joined the meeting. So I'll just wait for the video and just start the meeting from the start, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And then come next week, Friday, with your question again.
Okay, no problem, ma'am. And we received our mission sets. Thank you, Mrs. Hay. Yeah.
Great stuff. Good luck.
Okay. Bye.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, have an awesome weekend. And enjoy the rugby if you're watching rugby. Okay. See each other next Wednesday and then again next Friday. Stay well. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Please stop the recording.
Bye.
We're on the same wavelength there, Almarie.